All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Thursday, December 30th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Loud and clear from Chuck. He's always first to the punch. Great to see all of us live. Otherwise, though, inside the live trading room, great to see Gary, Bell, Ari joining us. Otherwise, and all of us otherwise joining us here, Grant included. Great to see everybody. And hey, if you're joining us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back as well. So, without further ado, let's hop right into it. We have the NIO trade on the screen to begin. We have another stock, DNAY, which is DNAY, which is actually making a nice pop right now. So hopefully there's a lot more to trade heading into the afternoon. But for right now, this NIO trade, it doesn't get much better than this. This ended up making a nice pop shortly after the market opened up. And really from there, it wasn't really on the morning watch list. It didn't really have that much activity throughout the pre-market. Traded a lot of volume, but no real trend to it. I mean, nonetheless, once the market opened up and this ended up making a bit of a pop, we called the stock out pretty early on. But from there, man, this is like the gift that just keeps on giving, right? Little post Christmas gift. But nonetheless, ended up making a nice push all the way up towards just over 33 a moment ago. You could see the big volume spike recently here, and that's when it ended up making the false breakout from the 33 level. So, hey, NIO's up just over 16% right now with this near the highs. It's a no-brainer. Put this right on our watch list just to begin. And then, like I'd said, also, we have the DNAY stock. This was one from yesterday, actually, that we started to watch and continued following it heading into the pre market this morning and throughout the whole day. Little a little thin on the order book, but yes, making a nice pop right now. Ended up just breaking high of the day, roughly off 11. Pretty short lived and came back down. But, this has been a nice runner, at least from yesterday afternoon heading into this morning. We ended up following this, of course, 24 hours ago heading into the afternoon. Unfortunately, I will say, from where we left off with this stock during the 2:30 meeting, it was looking pretty good. Right around 3 o'clock, it ended up topping off at $9.50. And then heading into the final like 15 or 10 minutes even of the day yesterday, ended up running pretty nicely. So that takes us to this morning where it ended up coiling up quite a bit, albeit it ended up holding over support pretty well. A little shake at first, but ended up holding back over 10 pretty nicely heading into the mid to late morning. And nonetheless, right now, although it just popped, it actually is starting to pull back a bit further here, which I'm not a fan of. So, listen, to ask how much more can this stock keep pushing up? We've seen stocks make bigger moves percentage wise day over day over day. That doesn't mean that this is going to do that, though. I mean, for as much as this moved up already, you have to ask when is it going to begin to make a false breakout or just top off? And the question really isn't when. The question is really where, and that's where I say, well, more often than not, it's gonna make a false breakout or top off around just a big volume level. That's it. And in this case, that big volume level seems to be 11. So once it broke over and back under 11, unfortunately, this DNAY trade does not look nearly as good right now at this last shake. If it ends up making one more pop back up by the end of this meeting, I'll come back to it. If it ends up showing more signs of life on the way up, I wouldn't mind adding this back on our watch list. But we'll see what happens here coming up. Lewis asking, is that a COVID related stock? That is a very good question. I don't have that answer, but I don't mind taking a tiny bit of time to find out. So DNAY, let's see what happened on this trade, or at least what the company does. The name of the company is Codex DNA. So you would like to think they're in therapeutics or something with. You know what? They don't even give a description of the damn company. On Benzinga Pro, normally they give you like a 2 sentence blurb about what the company does. It doesn't even give that for this stock here. So unfortunately, I can't really give you too much. I think I may have an answer actually as I say that. So I think it is COVID related vaccine supply contract. I believe that's it in Europe. All right. Well, either way, we'll come back to this though if it ends up pushing back up towards the 11. Now, what we'll do is just recap a couple of the others that we ended up calling out from the morning. Basically, we'll begin to build our watch list here for the afternoon. Another stock, of course, that we did pretty well on today for all of us live inside Cyber Group. Ari, Chuck, Gary, Bell, all of us here were watching the KPRX trade as soon as the market opened up. We were all over this trade. Fausto himself was in it, I think, from like 115 or like 110 even. Ended up getting a nice entry early on. Ended up topping off right around a buck 30, but ended up continuing to push up throughout the mid-morning, the mid-afternoon rather, I should say. Ended up topping off for right now just under 150. Then I would say even if it does break over 150, at least in my opinion, I think that there's a bit of a historical level, a couple of them perhaps you could say, right off of 157 this should be right here. And then otherwise 145 is a pretty strong bottom prior to that. Basically, these two bottoms here are likely to be a pretty strong historical level for this stock. So, pretty much topped off right around that bottom blue line on my daily chart. Should it pop higher? Wouldn't shock me if it ends up just going a little bit more up to 157 or so, and then finishes its run from there. For right now, I'll put this back on our list. It's still showing strength heading into the afternoon. It's a cheap stock, more of a level one trade. All right, let's keep it going though. We'll see what else we got here. Pretty funny. I thought this was SPRB, SPCB. So SPRB is the one that we've been trading over the last 2 weeks. I'm like, when the hell did this stock become 60 cents? Little trader's dyslexia there, different companies, but nonetheless, this is a cheapie. It ended up making a nice pop, when the market opened up, but pretty much died off afterwards. All right, speaking of dying off, this one ended up trying to break higher heading into the early afternoon. This FTFT trade, we ended up trading this one back from Monday, if you recall. Ended up running back then from like $1.10 up to basically like $1.85, I think at the time. Ended up pulling back, and well, here we go today. Rinse and repeat. Ended up making a nice move, but it took a while for that to happen. Ended up bottoming out right around $1.40, $1.45, you could say that is, and then from there it really began its move up from that point. It ended up holding over support at 150, and then that's what allowed it to make the pop later on. For right now, though, I wish this was a lot closer to its highs. It's got a bunch of volume on the order book that it needs to fill before it even has a chance to get to the highs again. And if it does that, is it going to keep breaking? That's what we have to ask. So with the way this looks right now, it just doesn't seem that way so far. Ooh, nice pop back up on the GOTU trade. So, some of these China stocks have been doing really well today. I don't know if it's China market altogether. We'll look at China ETF like Yin, and that kind of leads me to assume that, healthy day across the China markets. The reason we say that is because there's a lot of different China stocks that are moving really well. We just talked about NIO. NIO's a China company, China stock. IQ is one as well. TME is one as well. And then all of these other Chinese education companies back earlier this year, when they ended up coming out with, they wanted to make the education companies nonprofit, ended up crushing them by like 60, 70% that day. You could see on the daily chart. So, that's GOTU. That's the EDU trade. That's TAL. All moving pretty much the same, right? GOTU looks like kind of the sharpest of those three. So I'm definitely going to put the GOTU on the list. I'll probably slap the others on just on the back end of this list as well. EDU, TAL. I'm not going to put every Chinese company on the watch list, mind you. But, those three in particular we're pretty familiar with. IQ's at the highs. I can't put every stock on our watch list that's at the highs. We're going to have 50. Mike says LI. That's another one. Yeah, LI was a good one too. I'm sure you could say XPEV, another EV China company. Um, I'll put IQ on our watch list for right now. I'll put the education companies on the watch list for right now. I feel like the TME trade is a little slow. Oh, what about DIDI? DIDI is also a Chinese company too, and they ended up having a lot of volume filled in pre-market. This one also popped earlier on today too. Just really flat right now though, so not a whole lot happening there. All right, we keep it going. We keep it moving. See what else we got. DOYU. I don't know if every stock at the highs now is going to be a Chinese stock or not. I don't care about that now at this point, but it's just to say, we have a good list so far. I want to see if there's anything else that just shows strength. Again, if every stock looks like this, we're going to have 120 stocks on our watch list. Now solo, I don't know country origin here on Solo, but nonetheless, I know it's an EV stock. It's literally in the name. So, perhaps this is getting a nice push with NIO, with XPEV, with some of the others. But nonetheless, it's a cheapie and it's pushing back up pretty nicely to the highs. Definitely has a lot of volume on the offer for it to break over, so it really needs to get going pretty soon. But I like this one in particular. I'll give this a look. Solo, we're familiar with the stock too. Ended up making some pops for us back over the last 1 or 2 years. All right, so we'll see what else we got here on the gainer side. I mean, there's probably a bunch more that's up. I mean, number 50 is up 12.5%, near 13%. So if there is anything else, folks, that's up big that looks good, that's like volatile, that's showing signs of life, then definitely type it in the chat board. Let me know. I'll hop over to the loser side here in the meantime. VGR. I don't know if you could short this stock. It is easy to borrow, it looks like, on TradeStation, but hey, not much really happening so far across the last hour and a half, hour. TCAT, not a whole lot happening there. Oh, Tiva down big, shortable, and it's near the lows. Interesting. Pretty interesting here, this Tiva trade. I hope that this ends up breaking under 8 and providing us a great short opportunity. So with the way this looks, it's hard for us to not put Tiva on our list here as a possible short. All right. I think that just about does it, folks, for me. If there's anything else, like I said before, that's up, down, left, right, more than 5%, especially on the gainers list, if there's anything else that's up that I missed, definitely type it in the chat board here. All right. So from Ari at first, we talked about the LI briefly, but Ari mentioned earlier the Lucid trade, Lucid Motors. That one is a little more volatile, so I like that. That's a good call in that sense. It could provide a quick 50-cent pop up. It's up big. It's at the highs right now. I'm gonna see what the best ones we have are, and then we'll see what we'll put on our watch list here. BTBT, ooh, how about that? Nice little push up. I know that Bitcoin ended up making a bit of a pop earlier today. It's trying to make another push here. We'll do the Bitcoin stuff tomorrow, but just to say, at least BTBT trying to push up with it. I'm not in swing trade anymore on BTBT. I told you that a little while ago. I'm putting my money towards crypto on that. So if this goes up without me, all good, because I'll be in something else. But Riot getting a nice push right now. Mara, nice pop on Mara here off 35. I like the volume spike that came in there too. All right, looks like we have a decent selection here to go through, folks. Did I mention KPRX later? Definitely, that's number one on the watch list. That was the first thing that I kind of looked at there. The LGVN trade on this one, I mean, definitely pretty volatile, pushing up pretty steadily for the meantime, but it's got a really thin order book. What was it? LGVN and iSig moving together, or they had in the past. Clearly not today. Clearly not today. Um, or is it ISPC? Either way, Chuck just said ISPC 50-cent shake, so this thing's not looking too good anymore. Yeah, I don't know. The LGVN, I'd say the same thing. I like the chart, but it's just like way too big of a spread right now. So listen, it's up a little bit. I feel like there's a chance it could pop, but we're here at the end of the year. This isn't really the best day to be forcing any trades out there or any stocks. So for someone that isn't normally trading a stock that has a 10, 12, 15-cent spread, today ain't the day to try. So that's just my opinion on that. So hey, you know who you are if you trade this stock, right? All right. BTBT, to go back to some of the Bitcoin stocks, BTBT up 7% this afternoon, maybe from low to high, but 2% it shows from the prior day's close. It's just to say BTBT is moving up pretty nicely. Mara's up nicely. I guess I'll put both of them on our watch list for right now in hopes of Bitcoin continuing to make a nice afternoon move, but we typically know what happens in the afternoons with Bitcoin, right? All right, I think that just about does it, folks. Oh, I guess let me go back to Lucid. a little flat. I don't know if it ended up making a bigger pop there, Ari. I'd feel more compelled to put it on our main list. If you do well on Lucid on a day to day, then I'm sure that you'll be more keen to watch this. If you don't trade this stock frequently and do well on this stock frequently, then I'd probably just focus on something else from our watch list. That KPRX, the Solo stock, the NIO stock. So there's definitely a lot of options. No pun intended. We're not trading options, but a lot of choices to work with here heading into this market close, folks. All right. For all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, I'm going to check the chat board lastly here. Let me know if there's anything else from you that I may have missed. Ibad with KPRX, we did talk about that. That was about 3 minutes ago that they had sent that chat there on YouTube, so no problem. EXPR and Vuzi worth watching? Nah, this thing's flat. I'm not dealing with that. Vuzi moving up a little bit. I like the trend. It's up over 7%. So, I would rather this one over that Express Lewis. Chuck says he's still hawking the BBIO. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. BBIO, I forgot about too. I like BBIO. I like BBIO here. And you'd say, well, why do you like BBIO? It looks flat. And it's actually only up 2%. Very true. Good order book. Very good order book here in the meantime. And then otherwise, for as big of a bounce as this stock made, it's pretty close to the highs. And this stock is still down quite a bit percentage wise from Monday this week. So listen, you don't want to hold your breath waiting for the dead cat bounce, right? But hey, it ended up providing us a really good bounce after the drop off this morning. It was a great short this morning. I was in it from earlier and ended up bottoming out right from the 1343 major support level that we called out in Cyber Group. If this could end up pushing up a little bit more, then hey, game on for the potential gap fill here, or potential partial gap fill, right? I would not hold your breath waiting for the gap fill in itself here, but nonetheless, I like this one too. I'll put BBIO on our list. We're familiar with this stock too, right? Just from this week. All right, so let me catch my breath here. In total, I think we now have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stocks. I really don't want to go more than that. All right, folks. So I think that just about does it from me here for all of us on Facebook Live and YouTube. I appreciate you joining me each and every day, each and every afternoon. As always, I post my email address here in the comment section of the YouTube stream. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions, feel more than free to send over a quick email to josh@ctutrading.com. If you're ready to join us in our live trading room, feel more than free to do so by going right down to the link on the banner below the stream just to get yourself started. For Chuck, for Norm, for Lewis, for Michael, Ari, etc., Leda, of course, and everyone else otherwise inside Cyber Group. I'll be back on the mic later on today at 3:30, and then we'll close things up from there. All right, for all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, if I do not catch you tomorrow, I don't know who will be joining us for tomorrow afternoon, so allow me to at least say here, if you're not joining us tomorrow, if I don't catch you tomorrow, have a happy, have a healthy, have a really healthy new year ahead, folks. All right, take care.